I've got to say this right from the start. Enjoy these last few days of warmth while you can, because trust me, the season is about to flip. We've been hanging on to these last little pockets of late season heat like a lifeline, but the atmosphere isn't messing around anymore. What's coming is the real deal. Full-blown fall weather that's about to slam across the country like a freight train. And I'm not talking about a gentle, cool breeze that makes you reach for a sweater. I'm talking about a massive Arctic blast, diving straight down from Canada, dragging autumn forward in one massive push. And here's where it gets even more intense. As wild as this first surge is, the models are already hinting at a second act next week. An even deeper surge of cold, with the potential, if everything lines up perfectly, to bury parts of the northern US under serious snowfall. That's the key though, the if. It all comes down to where the moisture sets up. Storms like Priscilla could feed the atmosphere with the kind of energy that fuels major winter setups. If that moisture collides just right with the plunging trough of bitter air, we could see early season snow piling up in the Rockies and across the northern plains. But before we dive into maps and snow totals, let's pause and talk about what's happening right now. Because the atmosphere is already showing its cards. Thunderstorms are firing up in the Gulf. Heavy rain is sweeping across the Bahamas. And storms are rolling across the Dakotas with gusty winds and a few pockets of severe weather. But no tornadoes today, thankfully. Still, there's a lot of energy building. And while a lot of people are out there hyping some massive heat wave, I want to set the record straight. Don't fall for the clickbait, the flashy thumbnails, or the headlines designed to grab your attention. I'm not here to sell hype. I'm here to show you the real story, the one the data actually tells us. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now let's move on. And here's the truth. Freeze warnings, frost advisories, and even winter storm warnings are already popping up across the country. Yeah, you heard that right. Winter weather advisories in early October. Montana, Wyoming, up into the Rockies, with patches of pink on the map signaling winter storm warnings. This is a clear signal that the pattern is shifting. The Arctic oscillation is trending negative, which means cold air is spilling south and it's not going to retreat anytime soon. Once that door opens, that chill digs in. And when the GFS and Euro models start lining up, that's when I start leaning in and paying serious attention. Here's what we're seeing on the ground. The west is already cooling down. Highs in the 30s and 40s across the valleys, 20s in the higher elevations. Meanwhile, the east is clinging to 60s and 70s. But don't be fooled. That balance is about to tip hard. By next weekend, we could be looking at widespread snow potential. And yes, we're going to squeeze in a few warm days first. Highs into the 70s, maybe even an 80 here or there, even into Monday. But after that, the temperatures drop like a rock. Daytime highs sink into the 50s and 60s for huge swaths of the country. Wind chills in the Rockies, plunging into the teens. And again, I'm not hyping this up. This is straight data. And here's another point. This isn't a quick cold front that moves through and disappears. No, this is a system that reloads. By Thursday and Friday, another surge of Canadian air comes sweeping across the plains, into the Midwest, and sets up for the east. Meanwhile, in the Southwest, Arizona, Southern California, it might still feel like summer. Highs in the 90s, maybe even flirting with 100 briefly. But that dome of heat? It's trapped. The pattern is breaking down, and ultimately, the cold wins out. Let's take a moment to shift focus to the tropics. Invest 95L has my full attention. The odds of development are climbing to around 70% over the next week, likely becoming a tropical depression soon. The good news? The steering currents look favorable, likely keeping the system curving north and away from the Lesser Antilles. But here's the thing. Once it ramps up, it pulls more energy into the Atlantic, reshaping the overall pattern. And when you have tropical systems stirring at the same time as Arctic blasts dropping south, those two forces can connect. And when they do, that's when the US can see absolute chaos. So let's boil this down. If you've been hearing about a big heat wave hitting the country, it's mostly narrative, not reality. Above average doesn't mean oppressive. A high of 65 when your normal is 55? That's hoodie weather. That's football weather, not summer heat. Meanwhile, ski season in the Rockies could start early if Priscilla and her friends send enough moisture north. Now, let's zoom in on the here and now. Today feels almost suspiciously calm across much of the country. The kind of calm that makes you instinctively know that the other shoe is about to drop. A cold front stretches across the Midwest like a scar, pulling clouds from Wisconsin down through Kansas. A few scattered showers are popping, but nothing major, just whispers of what's coming. Winds are already picking up around the Great Lakes, hinting at the real power behind this front. West Coast? Gorgeous, blue skies, comfortable temperatures, picture-perfect fall weather. Florida? Typical pop-up storms, bubbling in the humidity. But again, compared to what's coming, today almost feels like a calm before the storm. Here's the bigger picture. That strong cold front is marching east, feeding off jet stream energy. High pressure along the east coast keeps things deceptively warm for now. But lurking behind the scenes, low pressure near California is pulling cold air south out of Canada like a thief opening a freezer door. Once that cold air is loose, it sweeps across the plains and Midwest, and it doesn't stop. Timing is everything here. By midweek, the jet stream begins to bend and wobble. Low pressure off the Pacific Northwest, high pressure inflating over Texas, a little dip near the Northeast. It looks harmless, but that small dip is the trigger for a big flip. Warmth surges back, not just mild warmth, but record-breaking, late summer-like warmth for October. If last weekend felt wild, just wait. Friday and Saturday could feel like summer all over again in the plains and Midwest. Then comes the real drama. By next weekend, the West trades its beautiful fall weather for bitter chill. Rockies flirting with early season snow. At the same time, strong southern winds east of that low push-warm air back into the central and eastern U.S. That tug of war between hot and cold? That's the recipe for drama, chaos, and jaw-dropping weather. And the tropics again. They aren't done. The GFS has been teasing a possible low forming off the east coast. Not set in stone yet, but if it happens, the southeast, Florida, the Carolinas, maybe even the mid-Atlantic, could see impacts. Remember, hurricane season doesn't care about the calendar. Some of the nastiest storms are born in October, and we can't afford to ignore the threat. Looking at the numbers, the cold front slicing from Wisconsin to Texas tonight brings a noticeable dip. 10-20 degrees cooler in spots. Enough to feel it, not enough to freeze anyone out completely. By midweek, New England gets a stronger shot of cold. Maybe some freezes, maybe more warnings. By late week, maps explode with heat again. Orange and red filling the plains and Midwest. Sunday and Monday could be the warmest days of the next week or more. Meanwhile, the Pacific Northwest crash is serious. Rockies likely see early snow, and the eastward tug on the jet could spin up a system along the east coast. And don't forget, the tropics continue to churn. Farther east, a wave rolling toward the Lesser Antilles is primed to become Tropical Storm Jerry by mid to late week. Guidance suggests it curves out to sea, but rogue scenarios exist. October storms are notorious for defying expectations. Bottom line, the United States is heading into a week where everything changes at once. Cold fronts cutting across the heartland, heat surging back in just days, the West flipping into below-average chill, and the tropics stirring with not one, but possibly two new storms to watch. The atmosphere is literally throwing everything on the table at once, and it's about to get wild. This is why I love tracking weather. It's never just about numbers or maps. It's about the story unfolding in real time. Hot versus cold, calm skies versus chaos. And right now, that story is picking up speed. Buckle up, because I'll be here tracking every twist and turn with you. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe and that bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment of what's coming.